I survived SCP-173 because I was closest to the door. That is the simple version. The honest version is worse. I survived because I fell backward. At the right moment, kept my eyes open long enough to see the door closing, and only blinked after the locks engaged. People think the horror is seeing it move. It is not. The horror is knowing exactly when it is allowed to move, and feeling your own body get tired anyway. Your eyes burn, your mask fogs, your breathing gets louder than the room. Then someone whispers that they need to blink, and the most ordinary reflex in the human body becomes a countdown. There were 6 of us inside the chamber, 2 maintenance technicians, 3 armed escorts, and me posted near the threshold. My job was not heroic. My job was to count. Nobody moved alone. Nobody blinked without warning. Nobody broke visual contact. That was the rule. The chamber door opened with a sound I still hear when I try to sleep. Heavy metal sliding back. Locks releasing. Air shifting between 2 spaces that should never have touched. The first escort entered, then the second, then the technicians. I stayed near the door, close enough to escape, close enough to understand that escape still depended on the room giving permission. And there it was, SCP-173, standing in the center, still, silent, wrong. Photographs never capture that part. The stillness is not comforting. The stillness is the threat. The team leader raised one hand. Visual confirmed. Left escort confirmed. Right escort confirmed. Technician 1, Technician 2, then me. Visual confirmed, count beginning. For the first minute, the protocol worked. That matters, it worked. One technician moved to the stained wall. The other checked the floor seam near the drain. The escorts kept their weapons low, because weapons were only a comfort ritual in that room. You do not shoot SCP-173 into obedience. You look at it, and you hope everyone else keeps looking too. Then the light above us hummed. Nobody reacted. Containment rooms make noise. Fluorescent lights hum. Air systems tremble. A person can convince himself that almost anything is normal if panic is the alternative. Then the light flickered, only once. A gray pulse across concrete. SCP-173 did not move. But the room changed. The backup strip came on weakly. The shadows became too sharp. The floor looked slicker. The object seemed closer, even though it had not moved. One technician whispered, "My eyes are watering." Nobody answered. There is no good answer to that sentence inside SCP-173 containment. Training can teach you where to stand. Protocol can teach you when to speak. A weapon can make your hands feel less useless, but nothing can train a human being not to blink. The team leader ordered the inspection to end. 5 seconds, then we withdraw. One technician said, "I need 10. You have 5. The light flickered again. Longer this time. Not darkness. Worse, uncertainty. The object remained visible, but the eye questioned what it was seeing. For a fraction of a second, its edges seemed to jump. Maybe from the light, maybe from fear. Maybe because everyone in that room was waiting to die and pretending procedure was enough. The first death happened before anyone understood it had begun. There was a blink call. Someone answered. Someone blinked too early, or opened too late, or looked toward the light for less than a heartbeat. It does not matter. One instant, SCP-173 was standing in the center of the chamber. The next, it was not. Nobody saw it move. We saw the empty space. We heard the impact. We saw a body fold in a way a body should not fold. Someone shouted his name. Nobody went to him. That may be the cruelest part. When someone dies, every human instinct tells you to look, check, help. But in that room, compassion is just another way to break visual contact. So we stared past him, past the body, past the blood, past the fact that he had been speaking seconds earlier. Because the thing that killed him was standing still again. The team leader made the call. Abort, slow withdrawal, nobody breaks line. I repeated it, but my mouth barely worked. The dead body changed the geometry. That is how the Foundation would write it. Casualty, obstructed withdrawal path. Inside the room, it meant nobody could step normally. The technician had to angle around the body. The escorts had to widen their stance. The team leader had to cover 2 sight lines at once. and I had to keep counting while my own eyes started to tremble. The threshold was behind me. Safety was one step away. That was the worst position in the room. Escape was close enough to touch, but the rules of escape were almost impossible. You do not turn and run from SCP-173. You earn each inch backward with concentration your body is now least able to give. I kept counting. Technician move. Hold. Right escort blink. Hold visual. Everyone visual. At some point, the count stopped being procedure. I heard my own voice crack. I was not counting anymore. I was begging. The backup light surged, not off, not on, just different. For one poisonous second, the shadows moved. The object seemed to move with them. Maybe it did not. Maybe it was still. That was enough. The remaining technicians stumbled. The right escort stepped too wide. The team leader ordered everyone to freeze. The command worked for less than 2 seconds. The room had crossed the line. Discipline was no longer stable. SCP-173 does not need spectacle. Its horror is the slow arrival of failure. One blink at a time. The final plan was simple. Technician exits first. Right escort follows. Left escort follows. Operator holds threshold. Team leader exits last. It sounded solid only because the alternative was terror. I backed toward the door, still facing forward, one foot searching behind me for the edge. The team leader stayed inside, calm, impossible calm. Keep it on me, I repeated. Keep visual, he said again. Keep it on me. The object stood beyond him, still, patient, as if it had all the time in the world. My eyes burned so badly that the chamber blurred. I could feel my eyelids trying to fall. Not metaphorically, physically. A betrayal made of muscle. Then the count broke, not from panic, not from cowardice, from exhaustion. A missed beat, a delayed call. A human fraction of a second that should have meant nothing. It meant everything. The team leader was the last man inside when SCP-173 moved again. I did not see the movement. Nobody ever sees the movement. I saw the absence first, then the sound. Boots scraping concrete, a sharp impact, a body hitting the floor. Someone outside shouted to close the door. I fell backward through the threshold, still staring forward, still refusing to blink. The containment door began to close, slowly, too slowly. The gap narrowed. Inside the chamber, the light flickered one final time. I saw the room in fragments. The first body near the center. The team leader closer to the exit. The cleaning solution on the floor. And SCP-173 standing still again. As if none of it had required effort. Then the door sealed. Only after the locks engaged did I blink. The Foundation turned it into reportable parts. A failed light. A missed call. A compromised sightline. 2 casualties, 1 survivor. But that is not what happened. 6 people entered a room where survival depended on defeating a reflex older than fear. For a few minutes, we managed it. Then our bodies remembered what they were. That is the truth of SCP-173. It does not merely punish carelessness, it punishes biology. The worst part is not seeing it move. The worst part is knowing the rule, knowing the consequence, and still feeling your eyelids fall. Blink once, and someone dies. That is the whole nightmare.